Live from First Street Studios in South Tampa, Florida. It's time for another round of Last Call. Welcome back to Last Call 76. This is Dan, and Jay, I got a question for you.
Fire away, my man.
Biggest bust of an athlete?
In any sport?
Let's go football, and then we'll do football this segment while we film this month, and then next month we'll...
I want to throw Jamarcus Russell out there. And I'm going to tell you why. Jamarcus Russell was on a team that had been fairly successful.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay, now Al Davis, God rest his soul, was a bit of a... He was the George Steinbrenner of the NFL. Did not tolerate BS. But this guy had all the tools. We had people talking about him as John Elway, but bigger and faster. Okay, went to a...
And played in LSU, right? SEC.
SEC, played as the sixth conference, seventh conference. This guy was... The stories are infamous about him. Lazy. And these aren't my words, folks. These are, the story about, he was given a playbook, told read it over, brought it back the next day. It was an empty book. He said, yeah, I read it all. There was nothing in there. That was Jamarcus Russell 101. Out of the league in 4 years. Think about that. Some of the busts got second chance. Ryan Leaf got another chance. Tony Mandrich, good friend of mine, got another chance.
How is Tony doing, man? I used to love watching him back in high school, man.
Tony's made a good life for himself. Tony will be the first to admit to you, Dan, that he made a lot of mistakes in his playing career. Tony was, full of his own press clippings, for lack of a better term. But
his dad pushed a lot of that.
He did, and then you were doing the things that, unfortunately, which we're going to talk about those here in another video. But Tony has done a good. Tony's made a nice life for himself. He's really turned his life around, and he's got himself on the up and up, taking photos out in Arizona, very successful.
Okay.
But to me, this got to be Jamarcus Russell, though. No other way.
Really? I'm going to leave that there, but it's a good conversation. For other sports, I have some.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't ever want to sit there and say biggest bust. So I'm a Notre Dame fan, as you know. So there's been some guys that have come out of Notre Dame to be quarterbacks that have busted.
Rick Meyer. I said it, he didn't.
Yeah, and name the other one, since you just said Rick Meyer. But
some Brady Quinn.
Okay. So now he's killing me, right?
I'm saying it. I got to go home to my wife is another fan.
But my point is, Meyer goes to Seattle and lays an egg, right?
Yeah.
And then Quinn goes to the Browns and lays another egg, right? So we could sit here. Mizell comes out of Texas A&M. Hey, as a matter of fact, one of the best receivers here in Tampa of all time. He probably Hall of Famer or close. I mean, Mike Evans.
Absolutely.
Was his receiver. And then Manziel can't get it done. So are these busts, organizational busts, if that's a good question, or are these individual busts?
You bring up a great point. I don't believe in hero ball. I don't. You send a quarterback in there, let's just say, because quarterbacks are the ones that usually mention as the biggest bust. You send a quarterback in there with no offensive line, no weapons, and dysfunction. They're not in a position to succeed. Let's look at these quarterbacks that did succeed recently. We'll throw some recent names out there. Tom Brady walked into a ready-made team in New England. People forget how good Drew Bledsoe was.
Oh, absolutely.
That was a team that had, Bill Parcells put the ball in motion. He built the house, he built the foundation, and everybody else built the house. So he walked into a ready-made situation. That's why the Patriots were able to win. Brady's numbers weren't spectacular. Ben Roethlisberger, same situation, went to the Steelers with a great defense, a good wide receiver, a Hall of Fame running back. Meanwhile, look at some other examples. David Carr, expansion team, was sacked 79 times his rookie year. No offensive line, no receiving, no defense. Joey Harrington, dumpster fire. You put a quarterback in a situation where that's this constant dysfunction and there's no weapons, who's going to succeed? You have to you can't have a car without an engine and a transmission.
Well, we can also say the same about Tampa.
Sure.
Look how many quarterbacks we rolled through from the Testaverde time frames, and you keep on going.
Steve Young and Doug Williams.
They're all Lombardi Trophy winners before we ever were.
Yeah.
So is it organizational? Are NFL teams because I can tell you right now, I'm watching it go down in in Carolina right now.
Yep.
With the Young deal.
Yeah.
And so why are you drafting a quarterback when you don't have the support cast to keep that quarterback alive. So I'm wondering. It's a good question. We're going to talk more about it. Hopefully get what's comments to say. Hit the subscribe button to Last Call 76. But I just want to know, are we doing this the wrong way? And is a lottery at some point in order like the NBA?
Great question.
And I want to have a debate about that because I'm asking because how many teams have destroyed number one draft picks?
Absolutely.
But the number one draft pick has no choice but to go. And, or he can go play in the XFL or Canada. But anyway, we're going to leave it here. It's a good debate, though. But if you look at all the bust, I agree with your bust. Okay? That's a big one, especially playing in the SEC, right? And playing against that competition.
Won a national title.
Exactly, right? But at the end of the day, when are we going to look at the other side of it, everybody, instead of blaming the Baker Mayfields when he takes them to a playoff game, actually 2 playoff games and 1-1, right?
Yep.
This is same as, guess who at the Ravens? So name them. I'm not going to name them.
I've been throwing shade all day, man. I've been throwing more shade than the beaches here in Tampa. Lamar Jackson.
But wanted all that money. Hey. And guess what? Baker Mayfield has the exact same wins in the playoffs and more touchdowns. Yes, more interceptions, but more touchdowns. I think Baker has like 109 now, 112. Yeah. So what I'm saying is Baker really a bust? I don't know yet. But so far, we have a winning record.
It's perception, my perspective. What's the difference between Brian Billick and John Gruden before John Gruden's reputation? Nothing. The records were similar, but Gruden was held here. Billick was held here. Same number of Super Bowls. Leave them in the comment section below.
Leave us there.